John Cena just confronted Dominic Mysterio on Raw in what should have been a legendary passing of the torch moment between wrestling royalty and the next generation. But what's absolutely infuriating is that Dominic completely disrespected everything Cena represents, spat in the face of the legacy that John built over 2 decades, and exposed himself as the most delusional, entitled, undeserving heel in WWE who actually believes his artificial push makes him worthy of standing across from a 16-time world champion. I'm about to break down every cringe-inducing moment of this confrontation that had the crowd turning on Dominic harder than ever before. Why John Cena returning for his farewell tour only to waste time on someone as overhyped as Dominic Mysterio is either WWE's biggest booking mistake or their most brilliant long-term story. How Dominic's pathetic attempt to establish credibility against Cena backfired so spectacularly that even his own Judgment Day stablemates looked embarrassed. And why this January 10, 2026 segment might be remembered as either the night Dominic finally earned respect or the night he proved he'll never escape his father's shadow no matter how hard WWE tries to force it. Let me paint this disaster properly because the setup was actually perfect before Dominic opened his mouth and ruined everything. John Cena returned to Raw as part of his retirement tour, doing the farewell rounds before hanging up his boots for good. The ovation he received was deafening, genuine love and appreciation for someone who carried WWE on his back for 15 years and became a cultural icon beyond wrestling. Cena grabbed the mic and was delivering a heartfelt speech about gratitude, legacy, and passing the torch to the next generation. Then Dominic Mysterio's music hit and you could feel the energy in the arena shift from celebration to confusion and irritation. Nobody wanted Dominic interrupting this moment. Nobody thought Dominic deserved to share this spotlight. But out he came anyway, leather jacket, smug expression, completely oblivious to how the crowd felt about him invading Cena's farewell segment. Dominic stood at the top of the ramp and immediately started talking over the boos. John Cena, the legend, the icon, the man who's finally admitting his time is up. Let me save you some time with this retirement tour nonsense. You want to talk about passing torches? Look at me. I'm Rey Mysterio's son. I'm Judgment Day's future. I'm everything you used to be but better, younger, and still relevant. The torch doesn't need to be passed. I already took it. Drop in the comments immediately. Does Dominic Mysterio have any legitimate claim to being on John Cena's level? Or is this the most delusional promo you've ever heard? The audacity is making my blood boil. The crowd's reaction was nuclear heat, but not the good kind. Not we love to hate this villain heat, but genuine change the channel go away heat that WWE should be terrified of. People weren't booing because Dominic's a great heel, they were booing because they legitimately don't want to see him on their television, especially not interrupting John Cena's moment. Cena's face during Dominic's promo was priceless. He looked genuinely confused, like he couldn't believe this kid was serious. Then he started smiling, that classic Cena smile that means he's about to verbally destroy someone, and he calmly walked closer to Dominic while the crowd chanted, "You can't wrestle," at Dominic so loudly it was drowning out everything else. When Cena finally spoke, it was surgical precision character assassination disguised as advice. Dominic, I've been watching you for a while now, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. Not by your wrestling ability because let's be honest, your dad at 50 could still outwork you on your best day. Not by your mic skills because this promo you're cutting right now is more awkward than my first promo in 2002. I'm impressed by your confidence. The sheer audacity it takes to compare yourself to me when you've never carried anything except your father's last name. The crowd absolutely erupted. This was John Cena, Mr. Rise Above Hate, Mr. Never Give Up, Mr. Hustle Loyalty Respect, just eviscerating someone on live television with surgical precision. And he wasn't done. You want to talk about taking torches? Dominic, you haven't earned the right to carry a flashlight. You've been handed everything. Your debut, your push, your faction, your feuds. Meanwhile, I started as a nobody, got laughed at, got told I'd never make it, and clawed my way to 16 world championships. You've been carried by Judgment Day, protected in every match, and given opportunities that wrestlers who actually deserve them would kill for. So before you come out here talking about being better than me, maybe try being better than your dad first. Question for the comments. Is John Cena being too harsh on Dominic? Or is this exactly the reality check that Dominic desperately needs? Wrestling fans are split on whether this is tough love or unnecessary burial. Dominic's response was exactly what you'd expect from someone who's been coddled and protected their entire career. Deflection and excuses. You don't know what it's like being Rey Mysterio's son, living in that shadow, having every single thing I do compared to a Hall of Famer. I've had to work twice as hard to get half the respect, and people like you dismissing me is exactly why I turned my back on my family and joined Judgment Day. Cena let him finish, then delivered the kill shot. Dominic, I actually do know what it's like to be doubted. The difference is I proved people wrong through work, through improvement, through earning respect match after match, year after year. You're not proving people wrong, you're proving them right. Every time you get in that ring and have a mediocre match, every time you cut a promo that makes people cringe, every time you need Finn Balor or Damian Priest to save you, you're confirming that you're exactly what people think you are. A legacy kid who got a participation trophy disguised as a wrestling career. The brutality of that statement hung in the air. Cena just said what millions of fans have been thinking but WWE's been too afraid to acknowledge. Dominic's not good enough, not yet, maybe not ever, and his push is entirely based on who his father is rather than what he's accomplished. Dominic, to his credit or his stupidity depending on your perspective, challenged Cena to a match. You want to talk about proving myself? Let's do it. You versus me, your retirement tour versus my prime. I'll show you and everyone watching that the Mysterio name means more with me carrying it than it ever did with my father. That last line crossed a line that even heel Dominic shouldn't have crossed. Disrespecting Rey Mysterio, a beloved legend who's given everything to this business, in a cheap attempt to get heat is bad character work. It doesn't make Dominic interesting, it makes him insufferable, and there's a huge difference. Drop your reaction. Should John Cena accept this match and potentially embarrass Dominic in the ring? Or walk away and deny Dominic the credibility that comes with facing a legend? Both options have merit and consequences. Cena paused, looked at the crowd, looked back at Dominic, and said something that changed the entire dynamic. You know what, kid? I'll give you your match. Not because you deserve it, not because I think you're ready for it, but because somebody needs to teach you a lesson your father apparently couldn't. At the next premium live event, you and me one-on-one. And Dominic, I'm going to do something I haven't done in years. I'm going to go into that match with the specific goal of exposing you, of showing the world that you're all talk and no substance. Consider this your final exam, and spoiler alert, you're going to fail. That acceptance was perfect because Cena positioned it not as validation of Dominic's worth, but as punishment for his disrespect. Cena's not treating this as a dream match between two equals. He's treating it as a teachable moment where the student gets humbled. That's exactly the framing this needs to work. The Judgment Day came out to back up Dominic, but Cena didn't flinch. He stood his ground, five-knuckle shuffle ready, daring them to start something. The segment ended with a stare down. Cena surrounded but unbothered, Dominic hiding behind his faction like he always does, talking trash from a position of safety. The aftermath on social media was unanimously pro-Cena. Even people who usually hate Cena's Superman booking were on his side because Dominic's that insufferable. Tweets ranged from, Cena just said what we've all been thinking, to, Dominic's about to get absolutely demolished and I cannot wait. The consensus is clear. Fans want to see Dominic get his comeuppance, and Cena's the perfect person to deliver it. Let's analyze what this confrontation reveals about both men's positions in WWE. For Cena, this is legacy management. His retirement tour should be about celebrating his career, having great matches with worthy opponents, and going out on a high note. Having to waste time exposing Dominic as inadequate isn't how legends show. For Dominic, this is do or die. He's been pushed for years based on his last name and WWE's investment in keeping the Mysterio legacy alive. But he's never truly gotten over on his own merits. This Cena match is his opportunity to finally prove he belongs, or it's the moment that confirms every criticism fans have had about him being undeserving of his position. Question: if Dominic somehow beats John Cena in their match, does that legitimize him, or does it destroy Cena's legacy and make fans even angrier? The booking decision WWE makes here will have massive consequences. The comparison to Rey Mysterio is unavoidable and devastating for Dominic. Rey at Dominic's age was already an innovator, already having legendary matches, already respected worldwide as one of the greatest high flyers ever. Dominic at the same age is fine. He's competent, he's adequate, he can have okay matches with great workers. But he's not special, not innovative, not anywhere near his father's level at a comparable career stage. That gap is what makes Dominic's heel character work when it works. The resentment of living in Rey's shadow, the frustration of never being good enough, the anger at being constantly compared, those are real emotions that Dominic can tap into because he's likely feeling them in real life too. But when he overplays it, when he claims he's already surpassed his father or is on Cena's level, it crosses from compelling heel work into delusional nonsense that makes him look stupid. The Judgment Day's role in Dominic's career is both blessing and curse. They give him protection, backup, credibility by association. But they also prevent him from ever having to sink or swim on his own. Every Dominic match ends with Judgment Day interference. Every Dominic promo has backup ready if the crowd gets too hostile. Cena's not someone who needs protection. He's been in a bubble that's prevented real growth because he's never faced usual consequences for failure. Cena can overcome them because that's literally his character's superpower. Dominic's going to have to actually wrestle a competitive match against someone significantly better than him, and the result could be embarrassing. The historical context of Cena feuds with second-generation wrestlers is worth examining. Cena's elevated guys like Randy Orton and The Rock, who while not exactly second-generation benefited from family connections. He's also exposed guys who weren't ready for the spotlight. Which category Dominic falls into will determine if this feud helps or hurts him long-term. Drop your honest assessment. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate Dominic Mysterio's current ability as a wrestler, promo, and overall performer. Be brutally honest because that's what this conversation requires. The match itself, when it happens, needs to tell a specific story. If WWE books it as competitive, with Dominic getting significant offense and looking like Cena's equal, fans will revolt. That's not realistic, not earned, and would damage both men. Cena needs to dominate, needs to show the gap in class, but also give Dominic enough to make him look like he tried his hardest and just came up short against greatness. The ideal finish is Cena winning decisively but Dominic earning a measure of respect through toughness and refusal to quit. The worst possible finish is Dominic winning the win his legacy massive Judgment Day interference, but allows Dominic to claim Dominic a win over Cena on his retirement tour. Then Judgment Day can attack Cena post-match, but it also denies fans getting their heat back while setting up future what he deserves. It's the safe, predictable WWE finish that protects everyone but satisfies no one. The crowd reaction during the actual match will be fascinating. Will they cheer Cena throughout and boo everything Dominic does? Will Dominic's performance change anyone's mind about his abilities? Or will this confirm that Dominic's go-away heat is permanent and WWE needs to pivot his character or position drastically? Rey Mysterio's absence from this entire angle is conspicuous and probably intentional. Having Rey involved would make this about their father-son dynamic again, which is territory they've mined extensively. Keeping Rey out forces this to be about Dominic versus Cena specifically, about Dominic trying to establish himself independent of his father's legacy. But Rey's shadow looms over everything anyway. Every time Dominic does something, the implicit comparison to Rey is there. Every time he falls short, it reinforces that he's not his father. That psychological weight is tremendous, and you can argue it's unfair to Dominic that he's constantly judged against a Hall of Famer. After the Cena feud fair or not, should Dominic stay heel, being Rey Mysterio's son and try to earn redemption, or leave WWE to prove himself elsewhere without the Mysterio name expectations? His career trajectory depends on this decision. Share this video if you think John Cena exposing Dominic was long overdue. Hit like if you actually believe Dominic can use this as motivation to improve, and drop your complete thoughts on this confrontation in the comments. Because what we witnessed on January 10th, 2026 was either the beginning of Dominic Mysterio finally earning his spot or the confirmation that he's a second-generation disappointment who'll never escape his father's shadow. John Cena offered him a platform to prove himself, and the entire wrestling world is waiting to see if Dominic rises to the occasion or crumbles Rey under the pressure and Sheamus just saved John Cena from the most vicious beatdown of his career on Raw. But what's Dominic's career reputation is that this rescue wasn't some random act of heroism. It was a calculated move that exposes the massive rift developing in WWE's locker room between legends who respect the past and entitled younger stars who think they've already earned everything without paying any dues. I'm about to break down every chaotic moment of this segment that saw three of WWE's most decorated veterans forming an unlikely alliance against the new generation's disrespect. Why John Cena needing to be saved on his retirement tour reveals how dangerous WWE has allowed certain factions to become, how this rescue mission by Rey Mysterio and Sheamus might be setting up the most unexpected WrestleMania storyline in years, and why the younger roster's complete silence while Cena was being destroyed tells you everything about the toxic culture WWE's accidentally created where legends are targets instead of being respected. Let me set this catastrophe properly because what led to Cena needing rescue was even more shocking than the rescue itself. After John Cena's confrontation with Dominic Mysterio earlier in the night, Cena was scheduled to have a regular match against a mid-card opponent. Just standard retirement tour stuff where the legend gets a feel-good win and thanks the crowd. But as soon as the bell rang and the rest of Judgment Day's music hit and all five members stormed the ring, you wanted to embarrass me earlier tonight, John, and making it clear this wasn't going to be a normal match. Let me show you what happens when you disrespect the future of this company. We're not waiting for your little retirement match. We're ending your tour right here, right now, and sending you out on a stretcher instead of on your feet. The crowd was booing ferociously, but Judgment Day didn't care. They started a systematic 5-on-1 assault that was genuinely difficult to watch. This wasn't the usual wrestling beatdown with dramatic pauses and selling. This was a mugging. Finn hit multiple coup de graces. Damian landed south of heaven on a chair. Dominic was hitting Cena with kendo sticks while screaming about disrespect, and the other members were just destroying Cena with whatever weapons they could find. Drop in the comments immediately. Where were all security the tried to intervene, but Judgment Day fought them off easily. The lack of immediate referees were pleading with them to stop is what's really exposing WWE's commentary was selling this as going way too far. Genuinely concerned that Cena was being seriously hurt. And for the first several minutes, nobody from the locker room came to help. That absence, that silence from the back, was deafening and disturbing. Then Rey Mysterio's music hit and the crowd absolutely erupted. Rey sprinted to the ring with a purpose, and for those wondering about the personal connection, Rey and Cena have been friends for decades, have shared countless battles, and Rey's not about to watch his friend get ended by a group that includes his own disappointing son. Rey hit the ring with a steel chair, swinging at anyone in a Judgment Day shirt, creating enough chaos to temporarily halt the assault. But it's still 5-on-1 even with Rey there, and Judgment Day quickly regrouped to attack both legends. Rey and Cena fought valiantly, but the numbers game was overwhelming. They were getting destroyed together when Sheamus's music hit and the Celtic Warrior charged down with his own brand of controlled violence, evening the odds significantly. Question for the comments. Sheamus immediately started the team of Cena, kicking everyone Mysterio, and Sheamus the most random alliance, turning does it actually make perfect sense with when you three legends now fighting together? Status. Judgment Day suddenly looked vulnerable. The beatdown turned into an actual fight, with momentum swinging back and forth, bodies flying everywhere, and the crowd losing their minds at this unexpected war. The visual of John Cena, Rey Mysterio, and Sheamus standing together in the ring, battered but unbowed, facing down Judgment Day was powerful. 3 generations of WWE excellence, 3 different wrestling styles, 3 men who've earned everything they have, united against entitled younger stars who think violence and numbers games substitute for actual accomplishment. Judgment Day eventually retreated up the ramp, regrouping and shouting threats, but they'd lost this battle. Cena, Rey, and Sheamus celebrated in the ring, not as a planned team but as 3 warriors who just survived a war together. The crowd gave them a standing ovation, chanting "Thank you," because this felt like a legitimate moment of legends proving they still matter. The immediate aftermath segment backstage was where this got really interesting. Cena, Rey, and Sheamus were being checked by medical staff when a backstage interviewer asked why they helped each other. Cena answered first, "Because that's what you do. When you see a brother getting jumped, you help. It's called respect, something these kids today don't understand." Rey added, "I've known John for 20 years. We've had wars, we've had classics, we've helped build this company together." Was more direct. Yeah, one of those punks out there attacking him as these entitled brats, which makes this personal everything I can't fully explain. They think showing up and cutting edgy doing what's right over protecting someone they haven't earned anything. Even if when I saw John getting beaten down, I didn't even think about it. You help the legends, you fight the pretenders. It's that simple. Drop your take. Are Cena, Rey, and Sheamus right that the younger generation doesn't respect the business enough? Or are they just old guys refusing to accept that their time is over? This generational debate is splitting the fan base. This segment accomplished multiple storytelling goals simultaneously. First, it protected John Cena from looking weak on his retirement tour while also showing he's vulnerable and human. Second, it gave Rey Mysterio a legitimate reason to be involved in his son's storyline without it being only about their family drama. Third, it elevated Sheamus back into a meaningful position as a locker room enforcer and veteran presence. And fourth, it made Judgment Day look dangerous and ruthless even though they eventually retreated. But the most important thing this segment revealed is the absence of other babyfaces. Where was Drew McIntyre? Where was Bobby Lashley? Where were all the other good guys who should theoretically want to stop a vicious 5-on-1 assault? Their absence suggests either they don't care about what happens to legends, or they're scared of Judgment Day, and neither explanation is good for WWE's roster culture. The implications for WrestleMania are massive. This feels like the beginning of a six-man tag team match. Cena, the challenge is that Rey, Cena's retiring, and Sheamus versus Judgment Day. His team probably shouldn't win since he's leaving anyway. But having the legends lose to Judgment Day and the kind of intergenerational conflict that makes WrestleMania special. WWE is going to have to navigate this carefully to create an ending that honors Cena's additional emotional weight, while not completely burying the younger talent they're trying to establish. Question: should this lead to a WrestleMania six-man tag? Or should the story evolve into something else entirely? And if it is a six-man tag, who should win and why? Let's analyze each member of this impromptu team individually. John Cena brings star power, mainstream recognition, and the ultimate babyface credibility. Everything he does on this retirement tour matters more because it's the last time. Having him be part of a team rather than a singles competitor is unusual but allows WWE to protect him while still featuring him prominently. Rey Mysterio adds the personal connection through Dominic, making this more than just a random fight. Rey's conflict is the most compelling. Does he prioritize being a father who supports his son, or being a wrestler who stands against bullies and disrespect? So far he's chosen the latter, which is brave character work that makes him more interesting than if he just blindly supported Dominic. Sheamus is the wild card that makes this team work. He's the enforcer, the guy who's not conflicted or sentimental, just wants to fight people who deserve it. He's also still actively competing at a high level, so pairing him with two legends on their way out gives the team some current credibility and physical prowess that's needed against a faction as